Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to org review number 2. Per the request of Avery, View, Lucier, we're going to be reviewing Hazard Gaming. And I know these guys pretty well. I've worked with them a little bit, but yet again, my bias will not be affected in the scoring process. So let's get into it. Hazard Gaming, this is their logo right here. It's Premier Dallas, Texas Entertainment Organization with their business email there. #HazardFam, stay hazardous. You know, you'd like to see the whole hashtag, a little bit of a motto going on. We're going to work our way down here. They've got their YouTube linked here. I've already got it brought up. They've got 19 subscribers, which isn't great, but they just started posting, looks like a month ago. We can go to their first video, see when it was posted. June 11. And so that's almost 2 months ago now. And so 5 videos in that time it's all right. You know, they've getting anywhere from 50 to 100, a little over 100 views, which is good. That's a good start, but at this point, it's all about consistency. There's a lot of organizations that start it and don't really keep it going. So we're going to be keeping a tally over on the side of the score, and I'll go through it with you guys at the end. So I'd say for the YouTube, I'm probably going to give it, I guess, a 2, just because of the volume that was put out in the first month. Assuming they can keep it going, they will be deserved of that 2 out of it's out of 20, and that's just because 19 subscribers isn't great, and they're still young organizations, so you can only say so much. But back to the Twitter, they've got a little over 500 followers, and I don't like judging Twitter specifically off of followers, because there's a lot more value and engagement, because you've got organizations that'll have, you know, a couple thousand followers that get twice as much engagement as the organizations with 20,000, and a lot of that is because of botted accounts. You see them here, there, and everywhere, and they're pretty easy to pick out. So we'll be keeping an eye on how much interaction they have as we go through their tweets here. Looks like they're giving away a free copy of Call of Duty and a controller. If you guys want to, you know, enter that, go hit that up here. Got, you know, decent amount of retweets and likes, not too bad. So we're gonna work our way down here. It looks like they've got their owners posting some content, which is good. You know, they don't get any points for that, but we'll keep moving our way down here. Looks like they're going for a Call of Duty team. They joined this National Amateur League, and I know a little bit about it. It looks like it's going to be going through a draft process. The league's going to start on the 12th, have an official draft over, looks like a couple days here. Oh, player combine. We've got 3 player combines and a draft, so it's interesting. Call of Duty wouldn't have been my game of choice to do it, but there's not much out there for the online Call of Duty amateur scene. So we'll see how that goes, but we're not grading this. We're grading Hazard. They do have a Call of Duty team in a looks like a growing league. So we're gonna keep going through here. It looks their tweets looks like they're getting a little repetitive, just going, you know, the happy Monday, happy Tuesday. You like to see it. It's nice to see organizations trying to interact with their community, but I see many organizations and teams really just tweeting this stuff. Happy Monday, happy week, whatever, happy holidays. It's easy to do, but there's not much content behind it, and oftentimes you're not going to get many people interacting with it that aren't already in the organization. And so when you get a lot of your members to interact with it, sometimes that can help a lot. I see they've got, looks like one comment here by Avery, and yeah, I imagine he was one of the few to like it as well. So I think they need to do a little bit more to get their members to interact with it. I know there's some organizations out there like Polar Ace. They require their members to like and most of the time retweet all of their tweets, which I think is a little messed up, but that's besides the point. It does help to see the higher numbers on here. Looks like they've got a tweet going off with about 12 likes, which is good. And so I think we've got a good grasp of it. They're tweeting about general news, which is good to keep their followers updated. And it works for good content. I see that they are Sorry. Looks like they're posting about what they're looking for, which is good. You see a lot of people out there just making a Twitter post recruiting for these positions that does no one any good. And so I'd say the way they're running it, I'd probably give their Twitter about, I'd say a 3, and that's because they're consistent with it. They're not going days without tweeting. It's not being spammed with retweets of streamers going live, because that gets old very quickly. And they've got a decent amount of followers for a younger org, and if they can grow it, that's some easy points to gain through there. And so 3 might not seem a lot, but going into this, we know it's going to be a tier 3 organization. So 3 is good, honestly. If you get more than 10, you're going to be a tier 2, and so we're going to be reviewing a lot of people, and 3 is a good start. So moving on here, we've got Instagram. I'm not seeing it on here, and to my knowledge, they don't have one. So I'll do a quick search here on my phone. Cancel that. So it looks like they've got 152 followers following 30 people. Same description. Link into a giveaway on their YouTube, which is... That doesn't seem like a very correct link. Maybe there's a giveaway in it. I could be wrong. Regardless, yeah, looks like they've got a decent little following here talking about new releases of games and talking about, I guess here's one of those generic posts here, but they actually are offering benefits. So I'd say that'd give you a few other points just because they're putting money into it and they're posting videos on here. And I know they started off really strong. It's important for them to keep it up because it was 2 weeks ago where they posted this about their Fortnite player. They've kind of been stagnant recently. So I'd say in the Instagram, I'd probably give them about a 2 just because this, a lot of people don't even have Instagrams, and so it's not super difficult to get a few points on this one. And so we're gonna go for the general internet presence here. So let's look up Hazard Gaming. Hazard Gaming, I don't believe that's them. There's gonna be a lot of general hazards here because it seems like a popular name. That's not them. That's not them. That's also not them. And we'll go to the third page here. I'm not seeing a whole lot. Hazard Esports, also not them. So from a general audience perspective, trying to look for them, I can't find them. If I personally were to look hard enough, it would not be difficult. I don't think it'd be too difficult to find them, but from that, we're trying to go for a general audience view of being able to find the organization. So if my little sister who's 10 can't find them, then they don't have much of any internet presence. So I did find, it looks like on the second page of YouTube here, they've got a job posting on Hitmarker, which I'd say I'd give them a 1 for just because they popped up. But you want to have your Twitter, your YouTube, your website at the front page. And so whether it's some orgs is going to be difficult for just because of their names. It could be popular, it could be super generic name, but that's, you need some SEO there to get that up. Otherwise you're not going to get that you're not going to get that audience just coming in naturally. You're going to have to use advertisements to get to them, and that's just going to cause more of a headache. So I'd say general internet presence, they get a 1, and they don't have a website that I know of. I talked to them a while ago and they said it was in the works, but you know, everyone says that. There's a lot of organizations I've talked to that said it's in the works, next few days, next few weeks. Nothing against these guys, they're nice guys, but you've got to follow up on that type of stuff, and for now they don't have a website, so that's gonna be 0 points. And so moving on to esports teams, they don't have a website. So we're going to have to work off their socials here because if I have to scroll all the way like deep down to figure out who your teams are, then that's not something that you should really deserve points for. Honestly, I understand each organization is different, but as I'm looking down here past couple weeks, they haven't tweeted much about their teams. I noticed on Instagram they made this post about 2 weeks ago. Their Fortnite player Hazard Bronos, and so they've got a Fortnite player, and considering they've already been announced in this National American League along with a couple bigger organizations, Fuse, I'm not sure if that's the same one that used to have a really good team. Entice, I know of them, and then Polar Ace, they're on the bigger side of amateur orgs, so I'd say I'd probably give them, for this team, I'd say probably a 2. I'd say a 1, just because it's out of 5. And if the league pops off, I'd say they could get up to 3 with that, honestly. I wouldn't give anyone a 4 out of 5 without going to a LAN, and you'd have to place pretty well at a LAN to get a 4. So I'm going to give them a 1 for this conservatively, and it takes a little bit of an investment. I know it wasn't massive, and while I see the potential in this league, I can't give it any more points or rep without seeing some results, because as far as I know, this thing could shut down tomorrow and they wouldn't get any points for that, obviously. So Call of Duty, they're gonna get a 1. I had spoke to my brother about this Bronos kid. Where'd he go? I'm not sure why they don't have him linked here. All right, there it is. Okay, a little difficult to find. Nonetheless, we found him. His Twitter's kind of meh. He's got decent following. I had spoken to my brother about him a while back, and my brother's pretty ingrained in the community, and he knew of Bronos, so I'd say that's worth at least, I guess, I'd say 1 point, because it's one player and he's not super well known. I have no idea who he is. Doesn't have any top tournament placements that I know of. His Twitter following's kind of meh. So I'd give him a point for having him, but it's only one player. And so moving on from there, we've got so they don't have CSGO. There's no use in going through all of the titles they don't have, but they do have Fortnite. Technically they don't have a Call of Duty team, but they've got a spot in that league, so I'll give them a point for that. See how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. And we're gonna move on to the other category here and see if we can find some of their apparel. Nope. We'll go with the classic media search. This is a prime example of why websites they make things so much easier, which is why I give them quite a few points, because if I'm interested in an organization, I really shouldn't have to be scrolling all the way down here to find info on them. So it looks like they don't have apparel, believe it or not. I know there's some in the works, but I had thought they'd at least had some apparel, and so sadly they don't get any points for that either. So pretty much at that, we'll bring up the scoreboard, work our way down for it. Bit of a recap. They got 3 on their Twitter out of 30, which it's good for a growing org. Instagram, they got 2 because they have one and they posted a decent amount on it. They need to post some more. to grow that, because it's been 2 weeks. YouTube, they got a 2 because they posted quite a bit in the first couple months, but as what happens with a lot of tier 3 organizations, it dies off really quickly. Everyone gets excited about it for a few months and then everyone forgets about it. So they've got 2 for now, but they need to keep that volume up and grow if they want to get any more points and retain these 2 points, honestly. So for general internet presence, we found that hit marker post, so we'll give them 1. That's better than nothing, but they need to work on their SEO as well, and a website would help that. They don't have one, which is kind of a big gripe for me, because I understand a lot of organizations want the biggest and best websites. That's kind of a common issue I've seen with them, and they think they need a super good website, but honestly, some website with some info is better than nothing. You can get one for like $10-20 a month, sell apparel on it for $25, and that shouldn't be a big investment. Like $25 a month with your own domain, that looks so much more professional. Shouldn't take a month to build. You should be able to learn how to do it yourself, or someone in the organization should know how to. So that's, 0 points. They don't have one. Moving down, Fortnite, they got the one player who's I don't know much about him, but I guess I know somebody who knows somebody, so he's worth give him a point for that. Call of Duty, is that the wrong one? Yeah, Call of Duty, we gave him I think that was a 2. No, that was a 1. We gave him a 1 for that because it hasn't started. Could die off tomorrow. If it gets started and it gets going, gets some decent hype around it, obviously they'd probably get a 2. And if it blows up pretty big and they have a top team, we'd give them a 3 for it. But as it sits now, we can't give them any more. So, moving down here, other category, they're not making any money. I can tell you that right now. I mean, I don't know how you could with an organization that small. Nothing against them, but there's going to be a lot bigger organizations that we're going to review that haven't made any money. So going down to apparel, this one kind of sucked to see. They don't have any apparel yet. I'm pretty sure they're working on some, but you got to get that out there. So YouTube personalities, I'm going to give them, I'd say probably a 1 here, because I know their owner has a YouTube channel. Check that. We're going to give them a 2 because I know they have a YouTube manager and a few other YouTubers and content creators. We haven't seen much on their Twitter, which is something they should work on. And I wouldn't have found that if I didn't know them. So I guess it's not preferential treatment, but it's just me knowing that org. So give them 2 points for having a content creating owner, and it looks like they're working a little bit on their content section. I'm sure it's a focus for them. So other esports titles, they don't have any that I know of. I have no other reason to give them points, and so looking back at it, it seems like we roasted them pretty good, but honestly, they came out with 12 points, which is 5.8%, which will obviously put you in the tier 3, but in the tier 3 breakdown, that'll give them a B. So because that 5.8 would round up to we'll fix that, 6%. There we go. 6%, just barely scraping by in the B tier, and that is good for an organization that just started. So, it takes quite a lot of time to grow from there, and even to get to there, it takes most orgs a while. And so they're off to a good start, but it's going to take more to get to that A tier or up to the tier 2. It's going to take quite a bit. Anywho, back to their score, 6%, which is a score of a tier 3 B, which it's actually we're just gonna put that right up there, right up there, easy to find. So now we got their score figured out. We're gonna give them some general suggestions. I want this to be a part of our reviews because we can't just go around roasting all these organizations and not tell them how to get better, or just kissing ass to the bigger organizations, how they're doing everything right. I want to be able to help. I want to help grow these guys. I want this to be a learning experience for everybody, and so I want to be able to go through and say, here are easy ways that you can gain points here, and in my opinion, make you a better organization that has more opportunity to grow. And so their Twitter, they're doing good. I would maybe chill out a bit with the daily tweets, but that's not a bad thing. As long as they're not doing it every day, every other day, it's all right. I like that they're not going with the spamming retweet of going live notifications, because nobody pays attention to those. Do it on big events for big streamers, not super often, and I think that will help. As far as I'm not quite sure what else they could do specifically to make their Twitter better, other than staying consistent, growing organically. The giveaways help spark some hype, but if you give away, I've had experience giving away straight cash, you get a lot of bots. Non-gaming stuff, you get a lot of bots. I wouldn't recommend it. So they just need to stay consistent, post quality content. I would recommend taking clips of their YouTube videos, throwing them up on Twitter. I believe they did a little bit of that. Doing it more would help. I like that they're doing the in case you missed it. So their Twitter, they're on the right track, just need to stay consistent. Instagram, need to stay consistent. Haven't posted in 2 weeks. If I was following them on Instagram, I would have forgot about them. If you don't post in 2 weeks, I'm not going to remember I'm following you, honestly. So they need to post more there. Post some more videos, post some more updates and pictures, Instagram stories, a lot of potential. YouTube, very important, they keep posting. A lot of organizations go ham in the first month, then die off. Go ham in the first couple months, then die off. Need to be posting at least weekly, if not bi-weekly. I'm a big believer in constant posting. I think it's more important to have one team that you post a lot about than have a lot of teams that you hardly post about. We'll get into that later with other organizations that I feel are doing it wrong because of how much money you spend on an esports team. If you're not maximizing the most content you can get out of them, it's not worth it in my opinion. But this is not a problem for Hazard. They are doing a good job growing their social. I would suggest doubling down on that, getting a content creator, some more streaming personalities, and spreading the content out about that. I think weekly videos would be good. There's so much you can do with just a few amount of people. Honestly, you can do collaboration between them, behind the scenes, day in the life, and I guess the history of, they did a little bit of that. They need to keep that up. They need to do introduction videos. I'm really big on those. I think those help a lot because they don't have a website. I don't know who's in the organization, and I know Avery, and I know of Jonah. I know him somewhat well, and they did those behind the scenes videos, and that helps. But I don't know their other co-owner. I don't know nearly enough. They need to work on that because you can't grow if no one knows who you are, honestly. So general internet presence, posting more, and a website will help. They're not at the point where they can optimize, I guess, the search engine optimizations and really utilize those. So that's going to be a later thing down the road for them. But staying consistent, posting more, really growing as an organization, internet presence will follow. There's not much you can do about that specifically unless you have the ability to utilize SEOs. So going down to the website, build a website. It's not hard. This is going to be my biggest gripe with a lot of smaller, newer orgs like this. Build a website, make it good. It'll help a lot. People like me that are interested in learning more about it, it's hard for me to do so just from looking at socials. So post more and you'll have more potential members looking there. You're not going to get a lot of fans from that specifically, but people that are interested in working with the organization heavily rely on a website to learn more about it. For example, I went on a job interview today. I knew some stuff about the company, but I used the website to find out all of the important information. You need that with an organization so people can find out about it. It's a little bit of a pain to make. Once you have it made, keep it updated and you're good. It's not too hard. So, honestly, a tier 3 organization could have a tier 1 website. That's zero problem. All you got to do is, have all your info on there, keep it updated, all your teams, contact info. You can only ask for so much out of a website, but there's so many teams that don't do it right. So moving down, we're not going to talk about the teams they don't have, but they do have a Fortnite comp player. They should be posting more content about him. I saw they made that montage for introducing him. They need to do more content with him. I think that's valuable, should help. Moving down, Call of Duty, they've got that spot in that league. Hopefully that pans out for him, but as much as I see potential in that league organizer, I see potential in it. It could die off tomorrow. I haven't heard of it before, and while there's big organizations in it, they could take the money and run. And so you've got to give it a little time before we give it some points for that. But they're in it. They're showing an effort. Give them a 1 for that. So as far as the esports titles go, I don't think they should expand into any more. A lot of these are very expensive titles. I think they should pick up who they can for a little bit of money, but make sure to double down on content. With this Call of Duty League, I understand they paid for the slot and they might have to pay the players. They need to make content out of it. That'll help that league grow, and it'll help that team grow, because it's a buy-in league. Not anybody can join it, so they need to take that opportunity they have and grow off of it badly. That'll help them. There's a lot of opportunity there that they need to chase. I don't think they should pick up a CSGO team. While they could, I think they need to show that they can make more content on the people they have now. I think picking up maybe 2 or 3 more Fortnite players and making as much content they can around Fortnite and Call of Duty, and then from there expanding into other titles, because there's so many teams, organizations that get into as many titles as they can for as little money as they can, but nobody cares because nobody follows the teams. That was one of my big praises of Big Frames. We got a lot of support just from making that video because everybody loves Big Frames. They're the homies, whatever org they're going to go to, they're going to get a lot of support from. And those are the teams that you need to pick up. The teams that have a lot of hype, a lot of personality. They won't have thousands of followers on Twitter, but they'll have 500 guys that thoroughly support them and know them, and they're worth a lot more. And so I think Hazard needs to double down in this Call of Duty League, make a ton of content around it, content around each player, and grow it from there. Post on the Instagram more. Really just post more, stay consistent, don't die off in these next few months, because that's what happens to a lot of teams. They either stay complacent and they hardly post any and they're just the general 12-year-old kid organization Twitter, or they die off in 4 to 5 months because they're not sustainable with how much money they're putting in. But posting consistently, creating a lot of content, and proving that you're growing is how you grow more. If you don't explain to people what you're growing, what you're doing, they're gonna have to figure it out for themselves. And so I think they've got some potential. I may have seemed like we were a little harsh on them today, but they're new. When were they made? Where'd they go? February 2016 is when the Twitter was created. I'm pretty sure it started, like 2 months ago. That's when they post their original video. June 11 is when it started, so it's been 2 months. They're growing good. B tier 3 is good for an organization that new. So I think that'll do it for these guys today. And I'll have all their socials linked below. If you have any suggestions for other orgs to review, any, gripes, complaints, suggestions about these guys, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to debate with you on it. I'm hoping to do these more in the future live on Twitch. Probably do some of this on Friday this weekend. So, catch my Twitch stream, catch these guys' socials down in the description. And, I will catch you guys soon in the next video.